Record-breaking single-day rainfall for August. Queen Mary Hospital A&E department services affected by floods. Heavy rain triggers landslides in various parts of the city. And the Republican Texas governor threatens to arrest Democratic lawmakers who are leaving the state to avoid a vote on a congressional redistricting bill. Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. Hong Kong was again hit by heavy downpours today, with the black rainstorm warning signal in force for around 12 hours. This as the observatory recorded more than 355 millimeters of rainfall by 2 p.m., surpassing the previous record for a single day in August set in 1884. Various parts of the city experienced flooding, with the Drainage Services Department having handled some 100 cases so far. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Heavy flooding was seen at an outdoor parking lot in Chung Kwan O. After experiencing an intense night of thunderstorms and flooding, the parking lot faced another round of flooding this morning, with the deluge reaching the windshield level of vehicles. The downpour only got stronger over time, as staff from the Drainage Services Department deployed water-sucking robots to help clear up the floods. The water only subsided at around 1 p.m., at which point some motorists arrived on site only to find the interior of their vehicles covered in mud. In nearby Chung Kwan O village, roads were completely submerged, with vehicles and pedestrians having to wade through the water. This is several residents living on the hillside of Kawa King village in Lai Chi Kok desperately clean their homes, which were drenched in a mix of water and mud. Similar scenes across the city, from water on the verge of overflowing at the Upper Shingwen Reservoir to rapids developing out of the Tokung Tam stream in Chunwan. Much of the public transport system was disrupted by the poor weather conditions. At Queen Mary Hospital on Hong Kong Island, flooding affected the accident and emergency department. For a time, ambulances had to bring patients to Runji Hospital's A&E unit in Wan Chai instead. Some patients claimed some of the water even flowed inside the hospital's lobby.
I didn't know that this weather was so bad. I mean, I just came home. I just came to Hong Kong yesterday, so I didn't know it. So it was really, I was quite shocked to see monsoon rain. So I don't have a way to go back home now.
I actually found the rain's pretty big, and I think it's quite serious, and you can see a flood down there on the hills. So the water is just flooding down, and the stairs are really wet, and the elevators and escalators are stopped. So it has caused inconvenience for the pedestrians.
Yeah, it was already flooded around, and it was even the elevator didn't work, so we need to climb stairs. All public transport was working correctly, but I think it was kind of messy this morning.
As of the afternoon, the flooding outside the main block of Queen Mary Hospital has largely subsided, though its front doors remain sealed to the public. This after members of the Drainage Services Department successfully removed much of the water blocking the entrance earlier this morning. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The black rainstorm warning signal was issued before 6 a.m., but that didn't stop some residents from heading to work. Weather experts say Hong Kong's mountainous terrain helps facilitate the formation of rain bands during summer. Jackie Lin with the details.
Come rain or storm, some Hong Kongers still pressed on to clock in at work. This hotel employee says it's about love and duty, as the hotel still has to operate under the rainstorms. He added that the rain didn't seem as intense as last night, noting the rumbling thunder had kept him awake. Another commuter says his boss told him that he could wait until the black alert was lifted, but he wants to help out at the company. According to the government's revised code of practice in times of adverse weather and extreme conditions, if the black rainstorm warning signal is issued before work starts, employers should not require their staff to report to work. The guidelines also state that pay, bonuses, leave, or holidays should not be affected by weather-related absences. Employers are reminded to prioritize safety of their workers. Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan posted on social media platforms around noon that, under the heavy downpours, the government coordinated cross-departmental efforts to deal with the inclement weather conditions. He said the government has a comprehensive contingency deployment mechanism, and the Drainage Services Department dispatched 180 emergency response teams to clear blocked drains and inspect flooding black spots across town. This latest bout of rainstorms began on Monday night with the amber rainstorm warning signal issued at around 9:45 p.m. Within an hour, the observatory replaced it with a red rainstorm warning signal, before elevating the warning to the highest black rainstorm alert at 11:45 p.m. The downpours tapered off slightly in the early morning, but after a 2-hour lull, the rain picked up once more. At 5:50 a.m., the observatory issued the 4th black rainstorm warning signal of the year, which also marks the 4th black rain alert in 8 days.
Until 2 p.m., 355.7 millimeters of rainfall has been recorded at the HKO headquarters today, breaking the record of highest daily rainfall in August since 1884.
Radar images show intense rain bands forming after midnight, moving from the southwest to the northeast. By dawn, they had merged into long rain bands sweeping eastward towards Hong Kong. Sai Kung, Kowloon East, and Hong Kong Island were among the districts being pummeled the hardest, logging cumulative rainfall of 200 to 300 millimeters since midnight. The northwestern New Territories and southwestern Lantau Island recorded 100 to 140 millimeters of precipitation. Weather expert Leung Wing-mo says such persistent downpours are not uncommon in Hong Kong. He explains that the city's mountainous terrain and southwesterly winds during summer make Hong Kong especially prone to heavy downpours. He says when upper air disturbances diverge and pull surface air upwards, the southwesterly monsoon hits mountain ranges such as Tai Mo Shan and Kowloon Peak, they can set off powerful rain clouds. Jacqueline, TVB News.
It's not just serious rainfall, but as of 5:30 p.m., the Geotechnical Engineering Office received 18 reports of landslides. One of the major incidents was on Bride's Pool Road near Chung Poi and Tai Po, where part of a slope and traffic lane collapsed. Traffic in the area was disrupted. Another landslide happened at Green Knoll Court in Kwai Chung at around 7 a.m. Landslide 2 around Po Shan Road in the mid-levels. Some retaining walls on Tai Tam Road also gave way under the landslide. The Geotechnical Engineering Office said it inspected 6 more severe cases today with emergency works arranged. The meeting of the Legislative Council's Subcommittee on Prison Rules was canceled while the black rainstorm warning signal was in force. Secretary for Security Chris Tang arrived at LegCo in the afternoon and was informed of the cancellation 10 minutes before the meeting was supposed to begin. The meeting was scheduled to be held between 2:30 and 6:30 p.m. Some lawmakers had already arrived at the LegCo building when the LegCo Secretariat announced the meeting was called off. It was understood that the cancellation was due to technical issues and the lack of Secretariat staff during the black rainstorm warning. Labor sector lawmaker Dennis Leung says even under the adverse weather, lawmakers should follow the LegCo president's instructions to attend the meeting, and there should be clearer guidelines for the technical staff from the Secretariat as to whether they should turn up. In the U.S., Texas Governor Greg Abbott wants to redraw congressional district lines in his state to encompass more Republican voters and flip seats held by Democrats in next year's midterm elections. The plan is supported by U.S. President Donald Trump. The Texas Democrats, though, have left the state to avoid voting, with the state's Republicans vowing to track down and arrest absentees. Nazvi Karim has more.
The battle lines have been drawn for the right to redraw lines on the Texas map. The fight, though, is being waged from other states. In Illinois, Massachusetts, New York. More than 50 Texas Democrats have left for these states in temporary political exile. Their absence from the Texas legislature means their state lacks the quorum needed to vote on the redistricting plan. Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott wants them arrested, also citing the need to vote on relief for victims of a deadly flood that last month claimed more than 130 lives. One Texas Democrat lawmaker in Illinois said the plan was racist.
When families can't afford to buy groceries, when families don't know if they're going to be able to keep their children alive because they can't no longer afford health care, that is what our focus should be. But instead they're focusing on pushing these racist, radical redistricting maps.
In U.S. law, states must redistrict every 10 years based on the national census. The current Texas map was passed 4 years ago. Democrats who fled to Boston also spoke up.
We believe the current map, as constructed, is discriminatory and a racial gerrymander of communities of interest.
Democrats have an ally in California Governor Gavin Newsom, who said he would redraw district lines in his state if the Texas legislature succeeds in its redistricting plan. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
The United States may require some applicants for business and tourist visas to post a bond of up to $15,000 US to enter the country. The U.S. State Department said it would start a 12-month pilot program. People from countries with high rates of visa overstays could be asked to post bonds of between $5,000 and $15,000. The funds would be returned to travelers if they depart in accordance with the terms of their visas, while overstayers would have their bonds confiscated. The proposed bond would not apply to citizens of countries enrolled in the visa waiver program that enables travel for business or tourism for up to 90 days. The countries affected by the latest move will be listed once the program takes effect. A similar pilot program was launched in November 2020 during the last months of Trump's first term in office, but it was not fully implemented due to the drop in global travel because of the pandemic. U.S. President Donald Trump once again threatened to raise tariffs on India even higher than the 25% level announced last month. Several rounds of trade talks have been held between the two sides over the past few weeks, yet officials in New Delhi remain non-committal about granting U.S. tariff concessions on agriculture and dairy products. Danny Zhou has more.
According to a presidential executive order at the end of July, U.S. levies on India will be subject to a 25% tariff starting on August the 7th. On top of that, Donald Trump indicated that he will impose secondary penalties for India owing to its business dealings with Russia. In a social media post on Monday morning, Trump threatened steeper taxes on Indian imports. He accused the South Asian nation of profiting from buying and reselling massive amounts of discounted Russian oil while ignoring the human toll of the Ukraine war. Later on Monday, a spokesman for India's Ministry of External Affairs called the targeting of India unjustified and unreasonable, saying the very nations criticizing India are themselves indulging in trade with Russia. He claimed that its energy imports from Russia were meant to ensure affordable and predictable fuel prices. He added Washington had even encouraged India's purchases following the outbreak of the Ukraine conflict as a way to stabilize global energy markets. Meanwhile, in Brazil, producers of coffee, one of the country's key export commodities, are bracing for U.S. tariffs as high as 50%. The new rate is expected to come into effect tomorrow unless progress is made in trade talks. Beijing recently granted approval to 183 Brazilian companies to export coffee to the Chinese market, offering a glimmer of hope for industry leaders who are turning their eyes to Asia. The chorus of concern also grows inside the United States, where shoppers are feeling the pinch of higher prices. A new poll found roughly half of American adults say the cost of groceries is a major stress factor.
Prices seems to go up every week, every month. But every time I come, I see the difference in the price, especially fruits.
The U.S. July jobs reports released on Friday showed rising unemployment rate and weakness in job growth, adding only 73,000 jobs for the month. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Still ahead, a Brazilian Supreme Court judge puts former President Bolsonaro under full house arrest. A traffic accident in Chunwan leaves a Filipino tourist dead. And a government proposal to ban taxis from High Island Reservoir's East Dam during weekends and public holidays. Welcome back. Brazil's Supreme Court has put former President Jair Bolsonaro under full house arrest ahead of his trial for an alleged coup plot. A Supreme Court judge says Bolsonaro failed to comply with restraining orders the court had imposed on him. This follows rallies by his tens of thousands of supporters, one of which Bolsonaro addressed by telephone. The U.S. condemned the Brazilian court order. David Garrett reports.
A musician claiming it is the death of freedom and democracy in Brazil. Horns of a different kind as cars honk in protest over the order to place Jair Bolsonaro under full house arrest. A convoy goes around the gated community of the former president, where he will stay as he faces charges of trying to overturn the result of the 2022 election, which he lost, charges Bolsonaro denies. This man and other Bolsonaro supporters says this needs to stop. Either the Senate acts or we will. The media camp outside the 70-year-old's residence, reporting on the latest twist in a story which is captivating the nation. This appears to be the moment when the Supreme Court lost patience with the man who governed Brazil from 2019 to 2023. Thousands of his supporters gathered at Copacabana Beach on Sunday to protest over the judiciary's treatment of the right-wing politician who was already electronically tagged and slapped with travel restrictions. His family attended in Rio and addressed supporters. Bolsonaro spoke to the crowds via his son's telephone because he was banned from leaving his house on a weekend. Bolsonaro told the rally he was giving them hugs for freedom. Flavio Bolsonaro called the new ruling persecution by the dictatorship, as hours later his father's phones were seized by investigators. Restrictions caused immediate reaction from the US State Department. It says Justice Moraes, now a US-sanctioned human rights abuser, continues to use Brazil's institutions to silence opposition and threaten democracy, putting more restrictions on Bolsonaro's ability to defend himself. Let Bolsonaro speak. Donald Trump has hit Brazil with 50% import tariffs on most goods and asked for the witch hunt against his ally, Bolsonaro, to stop. David Garrett, TVB News.
Back locally, a Filipino tourist died after he was struck by a taxi that was suspected to have lost control at Nina Hotel in Chunwan. A vehicle's dash cam captured the moment of the crash when the man, who was looking at his phone as he came out of the hotel, was hit by a taxi. The incident happened at around 2 p.m. when the taxi was approaching the hotel's pickup and drop-off point. The driver is suspected to have suddenly lost control of the taxi before it rammed into the tourist. The man suffered multiple injuries and was sent to Princess Margaret Hospital for treatment, where he was later pronounced dead. The 80-year-old taxi driver also suffered injuries to his limbs. The authorities are still investigating the cause of the incident. Chief Executive John Lee met with Macau Chief Executive Sam Ho Fai today. Lee reached the Macau government headquarters at around noon, accompanied by Financial Secretary Paul Chan and Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Eric Chung. Lee also visited infrastructure facilities in the enclave. The group reportedly also took a look at the Chinese medicine manufacturing hub in Hengqin. Lee returned to Hong Kong in the afternoon. The government has proposed to the Sai Kung District Council that starting from September 13th, all taxis will be banned from entering the area around the east dam of Sai Kung's High Island Reservoir. The ban would be between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekends, public holidays, and the period covering the mainland's Golden Week holidays. The government explained in the proposal that during this year's May Day Golden Week, a large number of taxis went to the area, overwhelming road capacity and posing safety risks to other road users. After the restriction is imposed, the public can take the Route 9A green minibus from the Pak Tam Chung bus terminus to reach the East Dam. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Stay dry and stay safe.